What is up, EXO drone owners gang? Coming to you live here, Carlos Valdez from my headquarters again. Back with another video. Wanted to talk a little bit today about the Cinemaster 2 again. Been doing a little bit of testing with this drone, and today I got to go out and fly a little bit. It's been really crappy here in upstate New York. Got to fly a little bit at dusk, so I have some footage that's kind of dark, but I'll attach it to the end of this video or to this post on the drone owners page. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this drone today because I've been doing some testing, reading a lot of posts about people losing control, their drone wandering off, and I personally have not experienced that with the Cinemaster 2. Love the drone. I've never had a single issue with it, but today I did encounter something which I hope might shed some light on some things and bring some clarity to how this drone operates in certain conditions and what might happen to you where you might think you're losing control and make some mistakes. Today, I guess let me start by saying this drone has incredible battery life. At least in my case, I mean, it's fantastic. I love the battery life that I'm getting. I have 3 batteries and I'm getting a good 25 to 27 minutes easily on my batteries. That is pretty decent for what this drone is rated, right on par with what it's rated, so that's great. Here's what I experienced today, and hopefully it can bring some clarity to folks, or you may have experienced this, if you do, I want you to know how to handle it. As always, here to help, so if this video can help you, great. If you have a different experience or opinion, that's fine as well. You're entitled. I'm going to share what mine is. Today I'm flying this drone around, and again, I took a flight, or I made a flight at dusk, so it's going to be a little dark when I attach the footage, but I went up to the max. I went up to 397 feet, hovered up there for a while, took some footage, and then I also went about 360, 370 feet out. First off, I'll say I experienced absolutely zero loss of FPV, zero connection issues, zero choppiness in my video. It was fantastic. I was flying out in front of my house. I was flying really right next to my car. Well, I was standing right next to my car with the drone way above, and that's not normally something I do. I usually go out to an open field, but I wanted to pop it up there and try some things just to see what would happen. Here's what happened to me that I think may solve or answer some of the questions. As I was flying my drone around, I got down to, obviously the low battery. Now, on this drone, when you get a low battery, on the Cinemaster 2, you're going to get a message, in addition to the lights starting to flash and all that, which if your drone is up high, you might have trouble seeing. And by the way, I had the spotlight on today, and it was great to identify where my drone is. So if you haven't tried that, if you're flying in a little bit of a darker type of, early evening, right before we're not supposed to fly, that spotlight works. But as my low battery came on, you're going to get a message on the screen on this drone that says battery low, and it'll say the drone cannot fly more than 98 feet high, and I think it's 328 feet out. So in my case, what happened is, at the time, I was probably 300 feet in the air, and this drone's battery life is great. I lost track of how long I had been flying, went into low battery, and automatically the drone started returning home. Now, I have the Cinemaster 2 app, so I had my return to home on my app. It's on the left hand side in the middle there, illuminated, and I had the one right below it, which is the hover mode, I believe, on the Cinemaster 2 app. And the drone starts returning home, and I noticed as I'm flying, I hadn't really looked at my controller or at my phone to see that message. I was like, wow, I can't control the drone. What's going on? I've lost control. I look down. I see that it's returning home. And I tried to cancel the return home, and I couldn't. I couldn't cancel it. Tried everything. So I'm thinking in my head, wow, I've lost control of this drone, but it is returning home, which is a good thing. Well, what was happening is, because you get that message across the screen that says you can't fly above 98 feet or 328 feet out, the drone automatically went into return to home mode, and until it got to 98 feet. As soon as it hit 98 feet, I watched it on my screen. As soon as it got to 98 feet or below, it just stopped and hovered there, and I had control once again. So this is important because I think some folks, this may happen to people when they're flying, because the battery indicator on the Cinemaster 2 app as you're flying, there is a drone battery icon and a remote battery icon, but they're like tiny, and I don't know about you guys, but they're tiny. I mean, like, you can barely see that there's 4 bars or 3 bars or 2 bars or whatever on that little icon. So when I fly, I'm specifically looking for the low battery indicator across the screen. It just so happens that I'm usually so conscious when I'm flying that I know if I've been flying for about 15 minutes, I should bring the drone down closer to me because I'm about to go into low battery mode at any moment. And when this drone goes into low battery mode, you only really have about another 5 minutes of flight time before it goes into return to home mode automatically. And I will explain a little bit more about that in a second here, or in a couple minutes. This was the first time that I had been flying my Cinemaster 2 and it went into low battery mode where I was above 98 feet. It's normally not something I do. In this case, I was about 300 feet up. First time I've ever done that, so I thought I had lost control of the drone. Matter of fact, that wasn't the case. The drone just went into return to home mode because when it goes into low battery, it limits the altitude of the drone, probably because it wants you to have enough battery to be able to land. So I lost technically control of it because it went into return to home mode until it got below 98 feet. I wasn't 328 feet out. The drone was right above me at the time, but I did technically lose control of it until it came down to under 98 feet, and then I immediately had control again. So at that point, of course, it dawned on me, wow, maybe folks don't know this. And then I brought the drone, down again, and I landed. Now, why did I do that? Because, as I said, I've tested this time and time again. When this drone goes into low battery mode, and you get that yellow message across the screen, can't fly above 98 feet, can't fly more than 328 feet out, you only really have about 5 to 7 more minutes of flying time, because at that point, once the drone goes into low battery return to home mode, which has happened before to people, and they kind of freak out because whatever you have your return to home altitude set at, in my case, I have it set at 49 feet, which is the lowest setting, just the default. If this battery gets so low that now the drone is returning to home automatically because the battery is too low, it's going to rise first. So if you have the drone flying or hovering right next to you, like I had, and you don't land in time when you have that message across the screen that says low battery, eventually the drone is going to go into return to home mode, auto return to home mode, and what happens is it's going to rise up. In my case, 49 feet. In other cases, you might set your altitude higher. You do have the option to change this in the settings. So the drone is flying right next to you. The battery got so low that now it's going into that default low battery return to home. It's going to rise to 49 feet. Now let's say you're near a tree and you're flying near a tree, but it's next to you and it goes into that mode. It's going to go straight up, guys. You have zero control of the drone at that point. It is basically a failsafe, and the drone is saying, I don't have enough battery left. I need to land now. So it's going to return. It's going to rise to the default return to home altitude, and then it's going to return to home. In some cases, if that drone's right next to you, it might rise right up and move 2 feet over and then come back down. This is a failsafe. The reason why this happens is because the drone is assuming that it's not next to you. The drone is assuming that it needs to rise to a safe altitude to clear any trees or any structures that's in its path to safely return to the landing point. Okay? So if you're out in a field and the drone is 100 feet away from you and it goes into this low battery return to home mode, it's going to rise up to, well, again, in my case, 49 feet or whatever you have the default set to. It's going to turn around and head right towards the spot where it took off, and then it's going to come down. So I revert back to what I was saying before. If you're flying with the drone right next to you in this low battery mode where you still have control, and all of a sudden the battery gets so low where it kicks into return to home, and it starts to rise at 49 feet or whatever you have it set to, and there's a tree in the way, it's going to hit the tree. It's going to hit the branches, the tree, whatever it is that it has to clear for those 49 feet. So you got to be really, really careful when you're flying, especially when you get the low battery. I've said this before on other videos. As soon as you see that low battery come across the screen, it's going to be a yellow message. Land your drone. There's plenty of battery on these Cinemaster 2 batteries where you can get a good 15-20 minutes of video before this even happens. So land your drone. Don't gamble with, oh, I got another 5 minutes, because you never know. It starts to rise up, you get a swift wind and it drifts just a little bit and you run into a tree, your drone's going to be in some bad shape. I've seen it, or I've heard of it happening. Really what I wanted to create this video for is because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are flying up above 98 feet when the drone goes into that initial low battery mode where you technically still do have control of the drone, but if you're above 98 feet, you do lose control of the drone completely. The drone is going to return to its landing point, or to right above the landing point, and then it's going to come down until it reaches 98 feet or lower, and it's going to continue to come down. The only reason why I regained control is because at that point I was able to cancel the return to home mode. I couldn't do that before when it was above 98 feet. I think there might be some people out there that have experienced this and maybe think that they've lost control of their drone. Maybe they're flying in some wind and it drifted while going into this mode, or maybe there was a tree in the way. I'll give you a perfect example of how this happens. You go out somewhere and you start flying your drone, and right, we're flying our drone, we're excited, maybe we're using the follow me mode, we're using the features, and now you move from the place where you took off. Okay, this drone is not going to return home to the controller spot or to where you physically are at the time. It's going to return home to where it originally took off from its GPS coordinates, right? Latitude and longitude GPS coordinates from where you took off. So if you're out somewhere flying and you use follow me mode and you took off from this spot, and all of a sudden throughout the course of your 15 or 20 minute flight you moved 200 feet over somewhere or 50 feet over somewhere, and that drone goes into return to home mode, it's not coming to you. It's going to go to the original spot where it landed. So people might think that, oh, I've lost control of my drone, where it's going, and they don't realize they've moved around, or maybe they don't realize that this setting that automatically brings the drone down below 98 feet has kicked in. I don't know if there's a lot of awareness out there about that, so I figured I'd do a video and talk about that experience. So hopefully this helps somebody. Again, I don't have any problems with my Cinemaster 2. I love it. This drone is amazing to me. The only drone I like better, of course, is my Black Hawk. That's a flagship EXO product. That's my favorite drone that I own. And you know, I can't say enough about all of my drones, right, that are EXO. You guys know I'm an EXO fan. I'm always willing to support. But this Cinemaster 2, I'm darn impressed with it. I gotta say, every time I fly it, I try and discover some new stuff on it. And, you know, trying to do some more testing and solve some of the questions or mysteries out there. I don't believe on this drone that you can update the return to home location like you can on some of the other drones. Like I believe the Black Hawk allows you to do that, although I haven't tested that. Maybe I'll do that. This drone does not. So wherever you take off from, remember, that's where it's going to land. And again, piece of advice for you guys: when that low battery kicks in, land the drone. Land the drone, pop in another battery if you have one, keep flying, have some fun, but land the drone. The drone is telling you that the battery is low for a reason. Okay. Outside of that, you know, been having a lot of fun talking to you guys on the page. Hopefully, you know, if you guys have any questions or any requests on a video tutorial or any screen recordings that I can do to show some of the settings, I am happy to help. It's my pleasure to do it. Love helping the EXO family out with questions, concerns, or anything like that. Again, hopefully this video helps somebody. I know that I was a little freaked out today when that happened to me, and then it dawned on me why it happened. So a lot of this is understanding how the drone operates, and that's why I go out and do some of this testing. So I will go ahead and link some footage from my dusk evening type flight tonight and some pictures. They're not going to be great, but I'll link those up so that you guys can see them. And I will also share the YouTube link to this video so that it can be shared with maybe folks that aren't on the page that this might be helpful to. Still awaiting the release of the Black Hawk 2. We're almost in April here, guys, so mid-April to end of April, hopefully. I downloaded the Black Hawk 2 app recently, and it looks like there's going to be like 5 drones in the Black Hawk lineup. I don't know that for a fact, so don't quote me. But according to the Black Hawk 2 app, which is available now on the App Store, it does look like there's going to be a couple different models. Here's the Black Hawk 2 app, and I can tell you, you know, you got the Mini, you've got the Mini Pro. These are all Black Hawks, by the way, or Mini. They're calling it Mini. There's the regular Mini, there's the Black Hawk 2, and then there's the Black Hawk 2 Pro, which is definitely the drone that I want to get. I can't wait to see this thing in action when EXO finally releases it. I know that some of the specs are 48 megapixel camera, you know, obstacle avoidance. I really can't wait. It's got a, you know, a bigger sensor than any of the other drones they've released so far. So anxiously awaiting, dying to find out how much this thing is going to cost. Still saving up my pennies, my nickels, my dimes, and my dollars just to see if it's going to be affordable enough for me to pick one up, and hopefully make some more tutorial videos and help you guys. I did mess around with the app a little bit. The app has some really cool features, guys. So check it out if you want. If not, wait for the release, and hopefully Chris Crosby and the rest of the EXO gang is hearing our cries for Black Hawk, Black Hawk, Black Hawk 2, and we'll see some more information on it, and you know, hopefully we'll start to get some traffic on the site when they release it, and we will see a lot of happy Black Hawk 2 owners. So I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are as well. So I'll leave you guys with that, and as always, happy flying, gang.